Everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to build your own search engine by using AWS Kendra search. It's very interesting. Let me show you. For example, this is my web, my page, and I want to search inside that page. So I use Kendra, and then I already set up and I expose the search via API gateway, and then I integrate with the NextJS app. So let me search amplify hosting, yeah, or deploy lambda. Okay, so it search from the my own data source. It search from here. I set up data source and then it search. We can go to in here and we can see more how it works and then how to build it. I show you how it works. So I set up an index. This is I set up my index, and this index will have data source. Data source is crawl from my web. Now I show you it. It can search from here. So after I set up, I can search. For example, yeah, and it search from my own data source. Or okay, now let me show you how to set up it. So we need to create a new index. For example, that's it. And we choose create a new row. So AWS gonna create a new row for you. You don't need to touch it. So and that's it. And next, just default and next. So you have up to 10,000 documents and 4,000 queries per day within a single zones. This is a developer edition and much more capacity for the enterprise edition. And then create, and then it takes about half a minute to a minute. And the next step is you have to provide data source. Where is the data? And then Kendra index and search from your data. That is how it works. And the next step takes half an hour or so. Now I already have an index and working index, and I show you. Let me check the data source here. So you can see it support many data source. For example, web crawler. So you give the data source as a web URL in this case, and then AWS crawl all the data with the depth. You specify the depth, 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels, and then it index. Let me check my this existing. Let me find out the data source from here. I already add one data source web crawler, so and so now how can I integrate with my application, right? So I integrate via API gateway and lambda. So let me show you. So this is the API gateway. When I call this endpoint, it will invoke lambda function and do a queries. So let me show you. I copy this and for example, and let's see. Yeah, so that's it. That is it. It respond. and then we're gonna pass this and display in NextJS app. So now let's create an app and do it. Let me move it over here and then I can copy some dependency faster. Okay, and let me install some dependency. Okay, so I use Chakra UI for front end, and I think in this case I don't need the amplify because I use. Okay, let me add all. Why I add the amplify here is um, because how to make the API gateway and Lambda here, there are many options. One of the option is you amplifies, and you can amplify add REST API, and it also works. That's why I add amplify. Let me. So while waiting, I'm gonna copy the config file. So this is the API endpoints. I already set up an API endpoint, right? I can curve. So at this moment, I let it open public list availables. But if you want only authenticated user can call the APIs, so you integrate with Amplify. Okay, so this done. Let me go to the app, and we're gonna modify it. And let's make a little bit of space for the front end. Let me. So we have space for front end also. And let me. Okay. Let me check. Okay, now I can run it. npm run dev and open it port 3000. And we start editing the code here. So I using Chakra UI. Okay, and then I move. Let me. So let's say we're gonna make a folder sort here. Inside the sort, we're gonna make service, and inside the service, I will have the Kendra service. And let me copy it. So the Kendra service is quite simple. We're gonna give it a queries, what we want to queries, and then it perform the queries and respond the output, the result. So that's it. And now we go to the index and do front end. So I don't want this. I delete the default front end. Okay. So let me copy. Let me copy my search here. So first, very simple, I'm gonna have a list of item. uh, Let me copy again. So assume that after I search, I got a list of items as a result, and I loop over each of the items and present it as a link. And each of them had in the field, it had document ID, document URLs, and excerpts of that. And in here, I'm gonna do the search. So let me store the items and query. And we're gonna call the search here. Okay, let me copy the front end because it's quite long, so I'm gonna copy it. So the important here is I need uh, and center and spinner. I think that's it. Let me import the search icon also. Okay, so basically just an chakra input to capture when we enter the search. The key point in here is when I enter I need to detect when I enter, and then I capture a query and I do the search. So I do it by on key down. So by on key down, I can check, oh, this is enter, and then I perform the search. That's it. So now let's check. Let's open this and okay, yeah. So the key in just detect the on key down, and I check the key type enters. If it is enter, and then I search. So the key point about the API. So let me open that and see how does it work. Yeah, so this is how it return. Let me zoom in. You see it return document ID, which is the link, and document title text, this one, and then the excerpt, this one. So it's kind of a summary. Okay, so that's all.